Donald Trump is once again out here in these American streets playing in our faces. And what do I mean by that? I mean the fact that when you give a known grifter and criminal full immunity, what do you expect them to do with it? Do you expect them to abide by the rule of law or see how far it will bend until it breaks? Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump doesn't need to worry about breaking the law because the Supreme Court told him back in the summer of 2024 that anything that he does while president of the United States, while occupying that awesome role, well, isn't deemed as being criminal. So if, I don't know, a foreign government happens to waltz over to you and rub shoulders and say, hey, I got a little gift for you. Hey, what about a palace in the sky? Do you think that Donald Trump is going to say, what about that emoluments clause? I don't think so. And that is where we begin today's show, dear friends. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. Let's get into it. So we begin today with what can only be deemed as, I guess, breaking news, which is the fact that Donald Trump, breaking news, is a criminal. Donald Trump is a breaking major grifter. And, what I find rich is the fact that when he is presented with a question like, should a president of the United States really be accepting a $400 million palace in the sky from Qatar, from a foreign country that has deep ties and relationship with Hamas, that has been deemed a funder of a terrorist organization and all around cozies up with America's supposed enemies? Do you think it's a great idea to turn around and accept an extremely lavish gift? Well, Donald Trump doesn't seem to think so. As a matter of fact, he said that pressed on Qatar's offer of a valuable plane, Trump says only, quote, stupid people reject gifts. Stupid people or politicians that actually follow the law. Donald Trump angrily brushed off ethical concerns about accepting a $400 million luxury jet from Qatar to be used as a new Air Force One, saying only someone, quote, stupid would turn down such an offer. Trump said that the gift from Qatar will be to the U.S. Department of Defense and not him personally. And he said he would not use it after he left office. The plane is to be decommissioned from military use and then turned over to his eventual presidential library, Trump said. Presidential library? We know that motherfucker doesn't read. So please do not insult our intelligence by calling whatever abomination he is no doubt going to fill with interior designs from Tacky R Us, with his gold toilets and 1980s chandeliers that used to exude wealth, but now exude, just absolute gaudiness. Nonetheless, don't get it twisted that this is actually going to be a library, because what exactly is Donald Trump going to fill it with, right? Like, he's going to fill it with all of his executive orders that were signed by him behind glass? Is he going to fill it with what, some charred remains from his first administration and Mark Meadows, who was burning papers on January 6th? Will it be that? Will it be all of the riches that Doge has found? Will that be what is inside of this empty shell of what one would refer to as Trump's presidential library? Please don't insult us, okay? Nonetheless, um, what Donald Trump has said with response to those that are concerned about this little thing called the Constitution, he said, quote, "I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I'm sure he does. I would never be one to turn down that kind of offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want free, very expensive plane. But it was, I thought, a great gesture. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did think that it was a great gesture and that only a genius would be given a palace in the sky, and that there's absolutely nothing to be considered nefarious or wrong about a foreign government supplying the president of the United States with a $400 million luxury plane. And I don't know. Just forget about the emoluments clause in the same way that the Trump regime has forgotten about the Constitution altogether. And let's just think about national security for a moment, right? Like, let's say you can detach yourself from the rule of law, the Constitution, and all of those things, and, just disconnect from that. What do you think that the possibilities are that a foreign government who is putting together this gift for Donald Trump to be decommissioned, of course, whenever he decides to leave office, um, that they would put, oh, I don't know, spyware in it, that they would have the ability to hack into classified conversations, any data that is shared on there, create software, listening devices, do all of the things that would not necessarily be picked up in a sweep, right, of this plane, and that Donald Trump, would just be broadcasting, literally broadcasting to Qatar and whoever else would like inside intel that is happening in our friendly skies. Because I want people to understand that Air Force One, you can look at it as a flying White House. It's like a flying situation room, okay? It is created in a way to withstand major, force, major blows, all of these things, but it's built in the United States by US, you know, forces, engineers, etc. So we know, right, like what's happening with its equipment. So you're just what? Just a wink and a nod that everything is okay coming from Qatar? But who cares about national security? I mean, the man did have our classified documents inside of the shitter at Bedminster in New Jersey and also in Mar-a-Lago. But I mean, who wants to even busy themselves being concerned with cases that have been thrown out because he was able to steal, become president again? But I do think that it is important to remind people of very recent history, right? Things that were said during Donald Trump's first campaign that now seem to not matter at all now that he is president once again. So here's something. I want to show you this, right? Remember, picture it. America, summer 2016. We're headed into one of, and what we know now, the most consequential elections of our lifetime. An election between a very highly qualified white woman, former Secretary of State, former First Lady, brilliant, et cetera, et cetera, and Donald Trump, a known grifter, a man who has bragged about sexual assault, a man that took out a full page ad to call for the execution of now exonerated Black men, but were Black children. When they were accused of a crime in Central Park that they did not commit, and that Donald Trump refuses to admit that they did not commit. Um, when America had that choice, we all know how that played out. But I want to remind you what Donald Trump was saying at this time. And one of the ways in which he was trying to smear Hillary Clinton, which we all know would work. But here is just a little bit of what Donald Trump was doing. So I found an article published by Yahoo on June 22nd of 2016. And it was entitled, Donald Trump is Wrong About the Gift Clinton Got from Brunei. Donald Trump accused Hillary Clinton on Wednesday. This is back in 2016, the first campaign of Donald Trump. Accused Hillary Clinton on Wednesday of being corrupt, zeroing in at one point on a lavish present she received from the Asian nation of Brunei when she was Secretary of State. But the presumptive Republican nominee mischaracterized the way the U.S. government officials handle gifts from foreign sources, and there's no evidence that she kept the item in question for herself. In fact, a review of government records reveals that the former First Lady kept just 2 of the many presents she received from non-U.S. sources during her time as President Obama's top diplomat. Trump's accusations came in a wide-ranging speech attacking Clinton as unfit for the White House. And why would he say that she was unfit? Well, I'll go on. This is what he said in his far-reaching, and by journalists mean by that, what journalists mean by that, excuse me, when they say far-reaching is off the fucking rails and out of pocket. But, nonetheless, he said this: Hillary Clinton accepted $58,000 in jewelry from the government of Brunei when she was Secretary of State, plus millions more for her foundation, he charged. Quote, the Sultan of Brunei has pushed oppressive Sharia law, including punishment by death and stoning if you happen to be gay. I had no idea he was such an LGBTQ advocate, given the entire campaign against transgender Americans that he had both in 2016, but really doubled down with $270 million of investment to smear only 1% of the population that he has deemed to be a target of the right. Also, talking about musing and the idea of rolling back same-sex marriage that was passed by the Supreme Court in 2015. Also, right now, as we speak, Donald Trump is removing patriotic trans people from the military. The Supreme Court, that's stacked with MAGA appointees, is allowing him to do so because what? He deems them as dishonorable for simply being trans, not for, let's say, dodging a draft like he did. So Donald Trump in 2016, blowing fucking smoke, right? Talking about how could Hillary Clinton possibly accept a $58,000 gift from the government of Brunei, which he had no evidence she actually accepted said gift, and from the records shows that she only accepted 2 of the many gifts that were given to her by non-U.S. people, right? So I'll go on to read, because U.S. law requires government officials to report gifts worth more than what? $375. And since the list of presents from foreign sources is made public, it's fairly easy to figure out what Trump was talking about. It appears that he was referring to a gift Clinton received on September 7th, 2012, because guess what? Unlike him and his entire regime, unlike all of the gifts that the MAGA Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas received from his sugar daddy in terms of a mortgage and paid for private school education for his son, unlike all of the fishing trips that Alito received and things that were not, put into the record because they didn't think that they needed to write those things down, even though it said that if you are a government official, you have to have receipts for anything above $375. So Donald Trump used, these accusations of corruption and a grift in 2016 that was backed by the GOP in order to attack Hillary Clinton and ultimately would win the presidency. So let's now go to where we are with Qatar, because you're saying to yourself, well, $58,000 necklace, that seemed like a lot. You know what seems like more? A $400 million fucking luxury plane gifted to the president of the United States while he's in office. And no one is batting an eyelash because, as he says now, fast forward 9 years, it would be stupid not to accept the gift. But let's talk to you a little bit about Qatar, shall we? Because Donald Trump is headed there along with two other important stops that he's making on his first official foreign trip. He is going to Qatar. He's also going to Saudi Arabia, and he's also going to the UAE. Three of the wealthiest fucking Arab countries in the entire world, where he happens to be doing business, and his sons and son-in-law happen to be doing business. Because I want to remind you, just real quick, that when Donald Trump left office in 2020, that his son-in-law, who was cleared, given security clearance that he should never have had, walked away with a $2 billion gift from, wait for it, Mohammed bin Salman, right? The crown prince of where? Wait for it, Saudi fucking Arabia. Oh, the same MBS who murdered Jamal Khashoggi and was also on WhatsApp with Jared Kushner during his time as special advisor to the president on foreign affairs. Yeah, Jared, walked away with $2 billion that even MBS's closest advisor said, I don't think that you should really trust him with this money. But what is $2 billion to people worth hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Absolutely nothing. What is a $400 million plane worth to a country worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions? I mean, they fucking print money over in that bitch. So here we go. Donald Trump is on his way to go and meet with leader Amir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Tahini, right? The sheikh and leader over in Qatar. And just a little bit from the New York Post, you know, the Murdoch owned New York Post. When Trump visits the Middle East this coming week, spending 4 days in a trio of Arabian Gulf nations, his most controversial stop will be Qatar, claiming to be America's friend, yet in intimate contact with America's enemies. Well, let's just be clear, folks. America doesn't have the same enemies that it used to, right? Because we used to say that Russia was an enemy of these United States, but Putin is Donald Trump's friend. We used to say that North Korea was an enemy of the United States. Well, Donald Trump shares love letters, beautiful letters, with Kim Jong-un. So when they're reporting that Qatar is in contact with America's enemies, well, in this realigning of the axis of evil with America spearheading, right, this new axis, the enemy of my enemy is my friend or frenemy. Qatar is what many might call the ultimate frenemy. This relationship is as complex as it is consequential. On one hand, U.S. officials and pundits privately bemoan clear Qatar negatives, such as offering a home to the political leaders of Hamas, its warm ties with Iran, and establishing the frequently anti-American television news network Al Jazeera. So let me just pause for a moment on Al Jazeera, because I have been on shows hosted on the network Al Jazeera. My co-host of Democracy Ish, Wajahat Ali, has done shows on Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is no more anti-American than, I guess one would say then, that Fox is anti-American or anti-democracy. So you take that with a grain of fucking salt. But I just want people to understand that when they say anti-American, you mean telling the truth. Nonetheless, they're still funded by Qatar. Um, but they go on, right? But as in any relationship, the other side often sees things differently. Fueled by billions in gas and oil reserves, Qatar has long fielded a cadre of diplomats, investors, and highly paid communications consultants to burnish the country's image as a pro peace, pro modernization, pro moderation force in a region that surely needs more of that. Surely it does. I mean, look at Doha, right? The capital of Qatar is as cosmopolitan as it fucking gets, right? Look at the buildings, the wealth. I mean, there are a number of reality TV shows right now that are anywhere from Bling to Real Housewives of Doha to all of these things to humanize, right, this area of the world and say, look, we like luxury just like you. We're just like you. But they know what we've all known about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is pretty much a hooker. He's a political hoe. Do you know what I'm saying? We say, what's the difference, right? And I said this earlier on Democracy Ish. What's the difference between a hooker and a hoe, as Salt and Pepper once rapped? Nothing but the fee. And we know that Donald Trump, anybody that throws a little bit of flattery and a little bit of money his way can have their way with Donald Trump. $400 million palace in the sky? No strings attached, right? He said that it's free of charge. What do we know in politics as in life? Ain't nothing free. Everything comes with a cost. So, what is going to be the cost to the American people for Donald Trump being able to fly in the lap of luxury? What did he sell out? Did he give them a state, maybe? Right? Did he give them more tax breaks off the backs of the poor and the working class? What is Qatar getting from this deal? Oh, that's right. For $400 million, they doubled essentially what Elon Musk did in order to buy the presidency. Elon Musk only gave Donald Trump $250 million for his campaign. Qatar said, we'll double it. You work for us now. There's a reason why, folks, why we have these little things like, oh, I don't know, laws. There's this reason why we have these little things like clauses. It is so America and American presidents cannot be bought and sold. But seeing the writing on the wall, Qatar looked and said, shit, Elon Musk is cheap. And $400 million means nothing to us. On top of which, I just want to say this. In the New York Post piece, they write Qatar affiliated funds have invested more than $40 billion in the US in everything from condo developments to universities to live, their sporting agency, their golf courses, and a handful of US schools, including Northwestern University and Georgetown University, have campuses in Qatar's skyscraper-filled capital, Doha. It's investment as influence. And Qatar critics say it's paying off. But funny enough, when asked about Donald Trump's lavish gift, you would think that maybe there would be some modesty. There would be some, no, Donald Trump would never accept such a gift. That's something, oh, quote unquote, Democrats would do. You think that they would offer you just something, but leave it to bobblehead Barbie in the White House briefing room. Take a listen.
To get to the premise of your question that both of you have raised, I think it's frankly ridiculous that anyone in this room would even suggest that President Trump is doing anything for his own benefit. He left a life of luxury and a life of running a very successful real estate empire for public service, not just once, but twice. And again, the American public reelected him back to this White House because they trust he acts in the best interest of our country and putting the American public first. This is a president who has actually lost money for being president of the United States. I don't remember these same type of questions being asked of my predecessor about a career politician who was clearly profiting off of this office. That is not what President Trump does, and this White House holds ourselves to the highest of ethical standards. Phil.
I am in awe of her ability to utter such bullshit with a straight face. Like that type of sociopathic disassociation, compartmentalization must be studied at some point because it is fascinating. Donald Trump gave up a life of luxury. He didn't give up a fucking thing. He conducts the business of the United States from Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster or one of his other fucking golf clubs. He's very rarely at the White House. What has Donald Trump actually given up? He didn't give up his peanut farm like Jimmy Carter did when he became president. He didn't put any of his businesses in trusts, right? Like the Bushes did, or the Clintons did, or the Obamas did, or anybody who was president of the United States before. No, he gave over his businesses to his stupid sons, right, that he has under his thumb. He opened up, I just want to remind folks, back in 2017, Donald Trump opened up a luxury hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, a stone's throw from the White House, where diplomats and others could stay, literally pay for play, on the same fucking street as the White House in 2017. He did that. And then when he wasn't reelected in 2020, that hotel magically shut down. And now his son is getting ready to open up a members only luxury tens of thousands of dollar club in Washington, D.C., because they got to have some place to do business, folks. Along with the meme coins and the luxury dinners that if you buy Donald Trump's meme coins for 100 of millions of dollars or what have you, then you get a stay at the White House. When I tell you that these fucking people are playing in our faces, this is what that looks like. This is not just the phone call to Zelensky. Can you do me a favor, though? This is all of America's supposed enemies around the world knowing that Donald Trump and the US presidency is for sale. That's what we know to be true. And who gonna check him? Because right now, Democrats are busying themselves with a resolution. It's astonishing. I never want us to lose our ability to have outrage, because that means that we are numb. That means that we have allowed Donald Trump's behavior to be normalized. We should be outraged. We should be in the fucking streets right now. Everyone is getting screwed except for the ultra wealthy who are laughing all the way to the bank while the rest of us are standing in line at a food bank. That's the America that Donald Trump has created, and it only took 3 months to do it. My God, I have no idea where we will be a few months from now. But I'm pretty sure Qatar has an idea of where they're going to be, which is cozying up in bed, probably in the Lincoln bedroom with Donald Trump. That is it for me today here, friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. As always, dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. And also, remember, if you have not hit like, commented, or subscribed to this channel, but you are loving the content, please do and help feed the algorithm fairies. Hit like, comment, share on all of your platforms, and do make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also, I consistently put up content at the Damn Digest on Substack. And if you want to become a regular contributor and become a paid subscriber to the Damn Digest, you can do so at a range of levels. Support independent media, support independent voices, and consider giving what you can. I appreciate you, dear friends, and I will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be well.